Senator John McCain went on the record about waterboarding, what to do with the prisoners at Guantanamo Bay, and much more. Senator, nice to see you, sir.
Thank you.
Big weekend for the family, or big event in the family?
Friday, tomorrow, my son is graduating from the Naval Academy, and better class standing than I had, which wasn't hard to do. And he's the fourth generation Naval Academy graduate. I'm very proud of him. He's going to pilot training.
And you have another son who's coming home, right?
Coming home, yes. He's been overseas. He's a corporal in the Marine Corps.
So it was a big events in the McCain family.
Indeed.
All right. Now, just so that I can sort of set the table right so you and I are on the same page, is waterboarding torture or enhanced interrogation technique? What word should we use on this?
It's torture. It's in violation of the Geneva Conventions, of the International Agreement on Torture, Treaty on Torture signed during the Reagan administration. It goes all the way back to the Spanish Inquisition. It's not a new technique, and it is certainly torture.
It is now the subject of a great debate again today that President Obama spoke and former Vice President Cheney spoke. President Obama says it's torture. Former Vice President Cheney says it's enhanced interrogation techniques. Those are the words he uses. President Obama says it's a recruitment tool. Vice President Cheney says it is not. Is it a recruitment tool?
Well, torture certainly is. I was at Camp Bucca a couple of years ago with Senator Lindsey Graham, and there was 20,000 prisoners in that prison at that time. We were taken by the Army General to meet in a secluded area with a former high-ranking Al-Qaeda member, a very tough guy. In the course of our conversation, I said, what was it that made you succeed so well? And he said two things. One, after the invasion, there was total disorder and chaos, murder, all kinds of bad things, and that allowed us to gain a foothold. He said, but my greatest recruiting tool, he said, I recruited thousands of young men, Abu Ghraib. And so, you know, you hear it from Al-Qaeda operatives that when we torture people and it becomes public, then it helps them recruit. I think that's the end of the argument.
Well, Vice President Cheney said today that Abu Ghraib is different than the waterboarding done by our government. He said that Abu Ghraib was a terrible thing done by some members of our military. He said that waterboarding, though, that it was done on only 3 people, and I'm not saying this to defend it, but just to repeat what he said, done by 3 people, and that it did achieve some goals and that we learned information, but that the President Obama administration won't declassify the information, which would back up the Bush administration. So where do you stand in this?
First of all, I think any relevant information, as long as it's not harmful, such as the photos would have been harmful, ought to be released. But look, I think that it's important for us to recognize that most military people don't believe we should torture people, and most military and FBI people say that you can gain better results through other techniques. Because once you hurt someone badly enough, they're going to tell you whatever they want you to hear in order to make it stop. That's pretty logical. So we could gain better information through using different techniques which are not in violation of any of the treaties or obligations that not to mention our image as a nation. There are times, and we'll hear this discussion a lot, where information has to be gained immediately. There's a story in Israel where a soldier was kidnapped, as I recall it. They caught the person who was a driver, and they interrogated the guy very harshly and got the information they needed and saved the life. Now, I understand that too, but if you're going to do that, as President of the United States, you have to take the responsibility. And I understand there's that 1 in 1,000 situation, but normally we shouldn't do it. And finally, could I say that it is not as effective as the other kinds of techniques that are not in violation of any treaty or obligation we have. And
well, here's the sort of the troubling thing that I have as a citizen is that Vice President Cheney says there are documents to show that that we achieved all this, and they don't get disclassified. Over on the House side, Speaker Pelosi is embroiled in a huge brouhaha over with the CIA. She said that they lied to Congress, and she wants documents. It seems like there's this universe of documents that the government sort of almost gets to decide what gets declassified, what does not, and we, the American people, just sit here and listen to the fighting back and forth over it.
The intelligence committees on both House and Senate side have access to any information they want. That's government oversight. The judgment has to be made as to whether and what documents are relevant to the discussion. As I said, if the former vice president feels that there's information and documents that can bolster his case, then I'm for revealing it. But I also am not for going back over what's happened. I'm concerned about morale at the CIA. I'm concerned about morale of other people who have very dangerous and tough jobs. If they think they're under assault again, as they did when the Church Commission back in the 70s was attacking the CIA, then it's going to harm our national security. Let's move forward and let's establish a clear policy that we aren't going to torture people. And frankly, at some point, we've got to understand we're in two wars. And Afghanistan is going to be tougher before it gets better. And we should focus our attention on the threat, which was just uncovered yesterday in New York City, that there are threats out there and people out there as we speak who are plotting to harm America and kill our citizens.
Well, I'm with you on all of that, except for there's a sideshow gamesmanship aspect. The reason why apparently Vice President Cheney can't get the documents released, why the CIA rejected his request, is because they are subject to a FOIA request and some collateral litigation, and there's a rule. So this rule sort of prevents us from finding out whether Vice President Cheney is being straight with us or not. With Speaker Pelosi, although I agree the CIA needs to be able to perform and do its job, and that we don't want to inhibit them from doing it. But on the other hand, is that we also don't need the Speaker of the House tarnished in doing her important job if she's the subject of political warfare. So getting all the documents out just so we can see somebody's not straight, somebody's fudging, someone may be mistaken, but we don't get this. We just sit and watch this almost like a sideshow, the political aspect to it.
In the case of the Speaker brought it up. The Speaker has made an accusation of the utmost gravity that one of the most important agencies of government lied to Congress, or, quote, misled Congress. That, in my view, is something that she has to prove.
She may be the wrong one in this. I don't know. But, well, I mean, the documents will at least end it.
Well, I would hope that she would get the right documents, although I don't know if they exist or not, but because the director of the CIA, a friend of hers, Mr. Leon Panetta, has said that she was briefed on these procedures and that she was fully aware that it was being done. So if she's accusing an agency of government that they have misbehaved and deceived Congress, then I think it's her obligation to prove it. And if she needs to have those documents to prove it, that's fine with me.
Well, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but already the things that are, quote, leaked out, and which when it leaks out, I'm never very confident that it's just, exactly everything. But the documents, Senator Graham said that it was reported, former Senator Graham reported that he attended some meetings that he didn't. Then yesterday a staffer was said to have attended a meeting and he was no longer on staff. So, we're seeing problems with these so-called documents that it seems to me it says, as long as it doesn't jeopardize a covert operation or anyone's life, let's get it out, let's get this behind us, and let's move on. I
totally agree. I'd add one other point. We have to be careful about the morale, therefore the effectiveness of the CIA and other intelligence agencies, because we are in this struggle, as was just proven yesterday in New York City. So let's get it done and move on and help these agencies protect America.
Up next, more with Senator McCain. Does he think that Democrats should be called socialists? And how about the war on terror? Why does it have a new name? And later, Laura Ingraham goes on the record about the speech-off between President Obama and Vice President Cheney, where the president and former vice president just gaming us today. Playing politics, but not giving us answers? Laura will tell you.